Hello, everybody. My name is Ray McDares, and I'm going to take you through a journey of exploring horror films and their importance. So this is going to be a 9-part series. I know it's a weird number, but I had another film, but I haven't actually seen it, and I didn't want to take the time to watch it and film and react to it. But we're going to be looking at different horror films and discuss the importance of them and why they were made and what we can learn from them. I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler warning now. So, because I'll be describing all the movies in pretty full detail. So, if any of the videos is a movie that you haven't seen, you've been meaning to see, then I'd say don't watch my video until you've watched those movies. But this is gonna be a pretty informal series. I mean, I'm sitting on my bed and in my room, and I'm filming with an iPhone camera, but this is mostly for a English comp project, and so I figured it didn't have to be like super professional. I don't have any professional equipment or anything. But we might as well get into it now. So the first movie in my 10-part series is Candyman, the 2021 version, the one that came out recently. So I picked this film to be first because it's the most recent movie released. It was directed by Nia DaCosta and produced by the one and only Jordan Peele, personally one of my favorite modern horror film directors, and his company, Monkey Paw Productions. So it's a sequel to the 1992 film of the same name, and it's based on the novel The Forbidden, which is written by Clive Barker. And Clive Barker is also the man who directed the Hellraiser films, so there's that. So DaCosta's Candyman starts out with its own unique and thought-provoking artistic style. It uses shadow puppets to avoid cheesy flashbacks and montages, which I appreciate. I think it's really lazy whenever movies, horror films especially, use like these really long, drawn-out explanation series. At the time that they are wasting when they could be giving us like creative content, they're just giving they're bottle feeding us, information. And so they give us tastefully give us our background information to give us a better understanding of the history of the Candyman myth. So the first movie, the original movie, it only talked about the Candyman of that film, the one that happened recently. So DaCosta's Candyman is like a historical timeline, like it shows the original movie was about the first Candyman that ever existed. So the rest of this one is about mostly the other ones, and it's about our newest one. So instead of being about a pre-existing Candyman, it's about how Candyman is even made and what's important about it. So the puppets, with the shadow puppets, they were made and controlled by Drew Durr and Lizzie Breit of the Chicago Theater Manual Cinema. And the movie stars, I'm gonna probably get his name wrong. It's a pretty unique name. It's Yahya Abdul Mateen II and Vanessa Estelle Williams. So Mateen plays a struggling artist named Anthony McCoy, and Anthony needs a new idea to create an art exhibit. He's an artist of sorts, and he decides to go search the housing projects Cabrini Green for inspiration. And Cabrini Green is a neighborhood sort of known for its dark past, especially around Candyman. So the legend started with a man named Daniel Robitaille. He was the one from the original movie, and he had an affair with a white woman in the 19th century. And when it got around that there was an adulterous interracial couple, the townspeople took the matter into their own hands. They took Robitaille out to a field, tortured him, cut off his hand, smeared him with honey, and set a hive of live bees on him. And while he died, they taunted him, and they called him Candyman. The urban legend states that if you look in the mirror and state his name 5 times, he kills you. But McCoy, the main character in our story, he's learning about a different Candyman. He learned about Sherman Fields, a man in Cabrini Green who would give candy to children in his neighborhood. When razor blades, however, were found in children's candy, Fields was blamed. Before any evidence was found, a group of white police officers brutally beat him to death in the basement of a laundromat. He was found to be innocent, actually, not long after that, And this story really interested McCoy, so he decided to use it for his art exhibit. The exhibit, he called it Say My Name. Obviously, DaCosta and Jordan Peele made it, that's the tagline of the movie as well, Say My Name. And I'm guessing that is because of the recent events with Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff that's happening. And part of that exhibit is that whenever there's a mirror and when you pull it back, it shows paintings of violence and pain. And you can see a lot. Mirrors are they're a big symbol in this movie, which makes sense. The original, the whole myth surrounding him is about what happens if you look into a mirror and you say his name 5 times. So obviously there's something, mirrors are kind of an important thing. So whenever a critic comes and sees his exhibit, they label it as unsatisfactory, and that devastates McCoy. So now that the legend is being talked about again, people are summoning Candyman everywhere. So now that he has brought back, he's talking a lot about, he brought up the Candyman myth, to everyone again, so everyone's thinking about it. A lot of people, of course, are trying it. They're doing the whole the name 5 times in the mirror thing. And what happens because of that is that, there's someone uses his art exhibit, they use the mirror in there, and they're killed in the exhibit. And while that's happening, something strange things are happening to McCoy. He begins to see things, and whenever he gets mental images, beforehand he could hardly make any paintings because he was just so uninspired, but now he's aggressively sitting in his room and making these really, really random paintings, or so they seem random at the time. He had a bee sting him earlier in the movie whenever he first went to go take pictures at Cabrini Green, and now it's not a normal bee sting, because now his skin is on the area on his hand where it got him, it's starting to peel off, and it's getting all bubbly and infected, and it's really weird looking, and it spreads throughout the movie. So instead of him actually you could see it going up his arm. So he eventually decides to visit his mother, and she tells him the truth about his childhood. Basically, he was told when he was young that he grew up in a different neighborhood, and she sent him away from her pretty young. But what actually happened is that he was taken by Candyman, the Sherman Fields Candyman, the one he learned about in the beginning. And no, actually, he was taken by the original one, by Daniel Robitaille. He was taken by that one, and he was going to be, Candyman took him, was going to sacrifice him, burn him in a giant bonfire in Cabrini Green, because apparently he grew up there. She lied to him his whole life, told him that he grew up somewhere else, because she thought that if she distanced him from the myth that was happening, because he was such a big part of it, because, Candyman got him, then she thought she could protect him. But the original incident, what happened was when he was a baby, Candyman took him to put him in a giant bonfire, but Helen Lyle, and she's the main character of the original film, Helen Lyle crawled into the fire and saved him, which resulted in her dying because she got, really badly burned. And in the movie that she's in, the first one, she's a white woman, and she is a sociology, she's studying that in her college, and she decides to research Candyman. So that's what he did anyways. That's what Anthony McCoy did, was he decided to research the topic. So his mom, whenever he was young, the whole story is that this happened to him, and then after the situation, she sent him away because she didn't want, she thought that because whenever he took the baby, the hopes of Candyman was that he would become the next Candyman. So she was scared that that would happen to him someday. So she figured the farther away she would send him, the safer he'd be, and the less likely that would ever happen. So, like I said, many Candyman existed after Robitaille, but it was always in McCoy's fate to join them. So there was another man, some other dude who owned the laundromat that he was going to. He really believed in Candyman, and he'd been talking to Anthony McCoy for a while about it, but he believed in it so much that he kidnapped Anthony, and he cut off his hand and replaced it with the hook. He decided that he was going to take it into his own hands, and he was going to make McCoy the real Candyman. So he puts on the hook and all that stuff, and Anthony is like completely out of it. He's not even receptive anymore because of what's happening. It's really traumatic for him, and his wife wants to save him, and she's trying to. She saves him from the kidnapper, but they end up going into as she takes him from another building and kills the other man. A whole bunch of white officers come to the scene, and they kill him. He's laying on the floor, and obviously he's not doing anything, but they kill him. So the officers threaten his wife with blackmail, and they say that, actually I don't remember what they say, but they're not even, it doesn't matter, because they're not able to carry that out because McCoy comes back, obviously like full Candyman mode. He's the getting killed, because sort of thing that they always say is that in order to become a Candyman, there has to be like a racial injustice brought upon you. So him being killed by the group of white officers was like the incitement for him to come back as Candyman and be the real thing. So the last shot of the movie is McCoy's ghostly face morphing in a Robotile to tell his wife to tell everyone to keep the legend alive, and that's it. Like, it ends there. We know he kills all the officers, he murders them, and then he talks to his wife, and then the movie ends. So the thing to notice about Cabrini Green, which is the neighborhood where everything went down in the beginning and where everything was where it all ended, is that the projects are very obviously run down. The city near it, however, like the area that the Cabrini Green is like a really, like it's really it's not taken care of. Like, you can tell that everything's sort of run down. They haven't rebuilt anything ever, but then they've got a really nice built up city right next to it, and like, it looks new. And this represents the suffering and violence that haunts the projects. They haven't been able to move forward like the rest of civilization just because of all the trauma that's been happening there. Hence why the mom of Anthony McCoy can't seem to move past what had happened, because like it haunts them all the Candymans that have come and gone in Cabrini Green. So it's because it's a past that continually negatively impacts the entire neighborhood, and that past is a lengthy cycle of violence, racism, and injustices. And the point of that is to show that racism is still relevant today, even though it's just changed over time. And I mean, even the film's tagline once again is "Say My Name," and that's an obvious nod to the Black Lives Matter movement. That's pretty recent. So now that we've gone over the meat and potatoes of the film, let's talk about the fun facts. So the location of Cabrini Green was the same place in Chicago that the original movie filmed at. DaCosta is the first African American female director to have a movie open at first place in the box office and hold the box office record. Something that people noticed, a lot of fans noticed, that confused them. They didn't know if this was a mistake, but the opening credits of the film are all backwards, and that's to show homage. Is that how you say it? Homage. I don't remember. But anyways, all of the credits are backwards to represent the mirrors shown throughout the film. So that's pretty much all I was going to talk about with it. It was important for me to talk about Candyman because the movie, with its its murdering ghosts and all that jazz, it still discusses a real and important problem. And the point of the series is to point out films that we can learn life lessons from, ones that you can think critically about, that makes you think critically about the world around you. The next video we'll be talking about The Shining. Thanks for watching.